How many pilots are taking flight?
And what is that behind the mirror?
Making Kent feel like Hollywood. This is The Blurb.
Welcome back. I'm your noodle apple strudel, Nick Keller.
And I'm the unknown behind the mirror, Rocco Grassi.
Wow.
I like those. It's always fun.
Yeah.
Well, let's just jump right into it. Well, clicks, it's time to fly back into the world of Dima as 21 Pilots have taken flight into the new era. Clancy, the sixth studio album from 21 Pilots, has finally been announced. And after a lead-up of promotional, including letters, a lore recap video, and a new single titled Overcompensate, the duo has had a lot of excitement and build-up for this alleged final installment to their storyline that their albums have been creating. You can stream Clancy on May 17th.
Very exciting. Middle school me is shaking
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
I'm very excited.
Yeah. Well, an unreleased Roger Rabbit-style film, Coyote vs. Acme, was set to be released this year. But as of November 2023, it was confirmed that Warner Brothers would no longer be aiming to release the film, despite the project being finished and the company having spent a reported $70 million bringing it to life. However, Warner Brothers have recently screened the film for 12 potential buyers, the likes of Netflix and Paramount, both putting in bids to own the rights to the film and screen it in their own platforms. The larger issue at hand, though, is related to the way in which Warner Brothers canceled multiple films during 2023, with Batgirl and Coyote vs. Acme both being axed by the company in an effort to reduce their earnings for the year and claim a higher tax bracket. For those of you who don't know, Warner Brothers is already in the middle of a legal battle for similar reasons with this. Warner Brothers has originally shelved the film in November 2023, so it should obtain a $30 million tax write-down, following the same fate of previously unreleased movies such as Batgirl and Scoob Holiday Haunt. The script has since been leaked by the film's main voice actor on all social media platforms. The film would have starred John Cena, Will Forte, and Lena Condor, and it would have followed Wile E. Coyote suing the Acme Corporation over faulty products after he failed to catch the Roadrunner once again.
See, it's so interesting to me because Wile E. Coyote is one of the first things you think of when you think of Warner Brothers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just...
Them canceling finished projects is just insane.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, a disaster...
What is that?
It's the unknown! Well, a disastrous Willy Wonka-inspired event in Glasgow became the golden ticket for discussion on social media this week. The $45 event promised enchanting gardens, live performances, and character appearances. Families were shocked and disappointed to arrive and find a near-empty warehouse with a bouncy house and janky props of candy. AI was used to promote the event, and a 15-page script for the cast was also AI written, following the character Willie McDuff and his journey to defeat the villain named the Unknown. The company, House of Illuminati, has claimed that they are in the process of sending out refunds. Let's hope this mess of pure imagination never happens again.
That is insane.
The memes that have been sparking from
No,
it,
they're hilarious. But like,
so
can you
funny.
imagine being somebody that paid for that?
Absolutely. No. No.
Well, speaking of failed events, TanaCon, stick around because we'll be talking about OG YouTubers we either love or hate.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's another Behind the Blurb. Now who do we have? This is a milestone because we have Jennifer Lohman.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a hot minute now. I've been around. I've been in TV2 for a very, very long time.
So since you have that authority of being production manager, I wanted to ask, what's your favorite part about being production manager? And what made you want to become production manager?
I worked with Ben Sloan actually as assistant operations manager back when it was called ops manager, and then whenever he left, I was like, well, I want to apply for the job. I want to see what I could do to help make this place better than it already is, and just kind of like further the ideas that he already had kind of in mind, and see what could happen. A lot of my friends were also applying for the board, so I was like, well, I want to apply for the board and see what I can do. I've been in this long enough. I feel like I know what I'm doing.
Knowing that you're basically like there and being that much of a support and people are relying on you that much must feel like it must feel important. It must feel nice.
I feel like I'm always
Have a good sense of responsibility.
Yeah.
You know how to manage stuff well, and like you've experienced when stuff goes down, and you're able to like build the team back up.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
If you were a member of One Direction, who would you be and why?
Finally getting back to the answer. If I had to be any of them, I would be a mix of Harry and Niall.
So I guess my last question would be, out of all the OG YouTubers that you or like were big back in the day that you grew up on, what would you say you would remember the most fondly?
See, this is a really good question. I used to watch a lot of people. Like, I was an avid YouTube kid. But I think my favorite one was Smosh. There was just something about Ian and Anthony that was really just, like, granted, really bad, very controversial. But, like, come on, look at them. They were sweet. They were nerdy little boys. I love them. They were absolutely wonderful. And the fact that Anthony left and then came back was a really cool trope to see how they, like, were best friends and they're not best friends anymore. And then they came back and it was a whole thing. And now Anthony has tattoos and he's, like, really hot to look at and, like, everything. Like, it's just one of the best. Like, and all the new cast members are great. Even the people.
Hey, Jen.
Yeah.
Shut up!
OG YouTubers, you love them, you grew up with them, and now you're probably close to the age they were when you started watching them. What's going on with the original content creators of YouTube, and what are they doing now? Let's talk about that.
I don't
Indeed.
like oh, you're close to the original. I don't.
That was
uncalled for.
Too much time's going by.
Like, I started watching
You mean,
people
I'm still
when I was
7.
about, like, 12,
point.
13, and now I'm almost 23, and it feels disgusting. Like, it feels really wrong.
I am 23.
I can't.
Anyway,
So, who did we all grow up watching? Who was our main people that we kind of went to?
should we go down the line?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Whoever wants to start. You want to start, Mima?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of Dan and Phil, as you can see from the cat ears and cat whiskers, and I watched a lot of Markiplier and Jacksepticeye. I watched PewDiePie. I watched Shane Dawson, but we know how that ended up. We know how that ended up, but I mean, I still watch Jack, Mark, Dan, and Phil.
So Dan and Phil, they kind of, because if I remember correctly, Phil started before Dan did, and Phil started in 2005, and Dan was in 2009.
Yeah, so they actually they didn't know each other beforehand, but so they were like, they met on the internet.
They met online, right?
Yeah, and I think Dan, or I can't remember if it was Dan or if it was Phil, but one of them was a fan of the other one and reached out, and now they live together.
It's a weird trope because, they met on the internet and they met up one time and then they filmed the first Phil is Not on Fire.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, oh my gosh, they're together. And then,
but like also we see like a reoccurring thing of like a fan meeting their idol and then becoming friends with them.
Literally Mark and Ethan from
I was about to bring that up. Bro did a backflip and now is like has a channel
with
with
his
him.
defining moment for the rest of his life. Like, that was it. You're like, like, Mark, I'm a huge fan. And then you just freaking, it's the funniest thing. That thing is hilarious. Markiplier, I forget when Markiplier started. Does anyone know when Mark started?
I just checked. I want to say 2012.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's definitely started after Jack.
A million years ago.
Because Mark and Jack have been kind of doing the same content for a while, right? Like, they haven't really strayed from what they've been
Look
doing.
at that man.
Right.
They haven't really differed from what they're doing. It's been a lot of, like, gameplay and that kind of stuff. Who else have you guys kind of grown up with that's had more of a trope than a couple other people?
Well, I was going to say particularly the person I grew up on and who I'm kind of doing a little cosplay as is specifically the angry video game nerd. He technically goes all the way back to 2004 before YouTube was even made with Cinemassacre.com and stuff like that.
OG.
Yeah, so he's like OG, almost around like Smosh's time. And basically he makes like a lot of he takes you back to the past and plays really terrible video games that quote
Love
suck
it.
ass, and basically he plays them, tells you how bad they are, and advises you not to play them. He's been doing it for 20 years, still ongoing, and yeah, which I know that there's another one, Nostalgia Critic from Channel Awesome. He does the same thing, but for like movies and stuff
I've
like
heard
that.
of-
Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remember it, so you don't have to.
The bad video games never end.
I just like got like nostalgia hit me really.
Yeah.
Like, that was like I got the whole tingles down the back and
Yeah,
everything.
so both of them I'd say.
Another
Nostalgia Critic and
nostalgic
AVGN.
one for me is Game Theory.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, my
Guys watch
heart
Game Theory?
is breaking.
Oh my gosh.
Is breaking a little more. And there's like no words.
I broke it.
Isn't his last
so allowed
day
to?
Mario Day too? I'm pretty sure it is.
You're kidding.
He's allowed to retire.
He's not. he's just having someone else take over the channel, right?
Yeah, and he'll still be like around. He'll still
Okay.
make like occasional cameos and stuff like that.
Like
but
he's
not
he's
the
not
main.
dead.
I know.
Yeah.
He's still here. Like
That's what I keep telling myself.
It's like we have another Steve situation. Matt's going to college.
Yeah. Oh.
He'll come back.
Well, Mia, Zach, who do you guys kind of first?
I was a big fan of Captain Sparkles.
Really?
Like,
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Minecraft stuff. Like I was a big fan of that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I feel like Captain Sparkles was especially like one of the better ones because he was just a super chill guy, really entertaining, and that's a great picture of him too. That's Jardon, they called him.
What was his main form of content? Like, what was his niche that made him famous?
I would
Minecraft.
say,
I don't remember
Yeah, it was a
entirely.
lot of Minecraft. He would have like multiple different series too. I think
Okay.
Yeah.
there was like one called Maya Night. It was like 100 episodes long or something crazy. But
isn't he one of like the few Minecraft YouTubers that didn't get canceled?
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't think you could cancel the man. He's like as wholesome as it
Don't-
gets, I would say.
Don't say that. Anything can happen.
We'll quote you that if
I don't
something happens.
believe it.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
believe it. No, can't happen.
For the record, right there.
Mine was Stampy Cat. Because
Oh, yeah.
that was my
This is
first ever YouTuber I ever watched. Me and my brother, 4th grade, with the iPad.
Paint a picture.
With the iPad.
iPad.
Yes, thank you. That is my title.
I can see it.
But that's good core memories.
I'm gonna be problematic. I watched a lot of the controversial people.
Oh yeah.
Shane Dawson,
Oh, yeah.
Sings, Colleen,
I-
they're on.
True.
I watched Shane and Trisha and Hannah and
I'm sorry,
yeah.
Trisha. I wasn't planning on talking about her. We could talk about her because what is that woman doing? She released how many albums? She actually can't sing for anything.
She has children now.
She has 2 children.
Second one.
Terrifying.
Malibu Barbie.
Malibu Barbie. What's her other kid's name now?
Elvis.
Oh,
Maybe.
Why would she do that? Why?
She
People,
just
I
needs
guess,
to
are allowed to
stop
happy.
killing the royal family.
Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. Yeah, but I watched a lot of Shane Dawson, who he just kind of like a lot of people in that time period. This is something I wanted to mention about too. Like, at least when the beginning of YouTube kind of started, the problem was there wasn't really a set guideline of kind of what the content should be to gain followers, to gain traction. So the problem was people just went insane. They just did the most outrageous, crazy thing because it made sense to them. And that's like, oh, if I do this crazy music video and I, unallegedly do blackface, I'm going to get a bunch of followers and traction because I'm trying to replicate some other artist who I shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of ridiculous now because we are so much more, for lack of a better word, woke as a community, and we're more prone to calling people out. So
More aware.
we're more aware.
Yeah.
We're more
Yeah.
self-aware. Yeah.
It's actually extremely funny you mentioned that because that particular story happened with Smosh. Particularly,
Yeah.
Smosh was a big one. That's a throwback to the
That's
last Behind the Blurb.
my
But anyway,
absolute favorite. So
yeah.
I'm glad you bring it
Yeah,
up.
so
No,
Smosh,
it's-
because Smosh kind of started out by making a parody music video of the Pokemon theme song,
Yeah.
and then like 6 years later, they came back at it because copyright removed it, so they made another video, like following that up. But it's a parody of the Pokemon theme song, talking about like copyright and stuff like that.
Smosh was weird because I think other people here also really enjoy Smosh. I enjoy Smosh to the current day. As Coleman, yeah.
That's a throwback.
But
to
they
Behind the
started
Blurb.
in 2002 with a website. And
Wow.
Yeah,
they
just
did,
like-
they,
just like
Anthony P.
ABGM
just
was
did
doing
that
that.
straight up. He just did a website straight up, and they did all kind of like the same situation on
It's
there.
giving iCarly.
It's giving iCarly, it's giving victorioustheslap.com. That's
Yeah.
that's what I'm feeling. But they started with that, and then it was too much to keep up with. So they're like, well, why don't we just expand and do a channel? And then it was a whole thing, and then Anthony left, and more people got brought in, and then Defy Media happened, and a bunch of other stuff happened, and then Mythical bought them. Good Mythical Morning bought them.
Wow, yeah.
And then they bought back their own company, and Anthony came back. And it was a really odd trope to see. But they made a lot of controversial stuff when they started out, but now they're a
Yeah.
lot more tame, a lot more audience friendly, a lot more, it makes sense what they're doing now. They finally found their niche and they're sticking to it because they had it and then they lost it and they brought it back. So I really like that about them. But yeah, anybody else have anything about like Smosh? Or I have another one that I wanted to talk about was Good Mythical Morning, how they kind of started out too in 2012 because they relate to the game actually, which was weird because everyone they feel like they're OG. They are
Yeah.
OG. Don't get me wrong, but they feel like they're OG, but they're not. They
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
so much later than everyone else.
Yeah.
Their different food videos were iconic, where they would put
The
like
food
wheat-
battle.
Yes, that's the
They
ones I
just
remember.
brought that back
the
too.
most,
Food battle
yeah.
2023.
Feels like a million years ago I'd watched those, but I'm sure it wasn't that long ago.
No, it.
Yeah.
it
Speaking
feels
of like duos, what about the Game Grumps? Like,
Game Grumps, no,
Yeah.
dude. I didn't get into them until later in my life, so like, but I know they've been around for a hot minute.
Yeah.
A very long minute.
they make good music too. Like with their band, it's great. I go check it out.
Have you guys heard the Rhett and Link music videos? Please
Oh.
tell me you have.
I don't
Please
think
tell
I
me.
have.
No.
The Rhett and Link music videos.
Oh.
Oh
They
my
are
gosh.
the best thing, because the thing is, Rhett and Link started with their own channel before they even did Good Mythical Morning. They were there, just the two of them, like in college together doing stuff, and that was done for I don't know how many years prior, and it was a bunch of like the old music videos and things, and then they became Good Mythical Morning, and they've been doing it ever since.
Nice.
And
Remember Gabby Hanna?
do you remember Gabby Hanna's manic episode?
Which one?
Literally.
Her
Which
music
one?
What?
is insane.
Here's the thing.
Okay,
I'm
I
gonna be
kind of listened
controversial.
to Dandelion, like honestly.
I liked her song honestly.
Funny.
I don't know. I really enjoyed Gabby Hanna for a while, and then I think the problem is too, and you guys can agree or disagree with me on this about OG YouTubers just in general. Like what happens to them is that since there are no guidelines, they kind of just go insane, and then they
Insane
don't
in
get
the brain.
taught what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then when it's time to apologize, they're just kind of like, haha.
That was the way
I'm
things
gonna put
were.
my ukulele and make an apology video and think I'm so funny and quirky and I'm gonna copyright it because I think it's funny and like you copyright strike, you can't make a parody of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
like-
it's just
That's
think
a
it's
trope.
dumb.
That's definitely something I appreciate bringing up. But I know that there's also other YouTubers as well that kind of that have since actually evolutionized their industry in some ways and have actually won some awards. Like for example, Zach, you probably know this, Yeah, I Maximilian was gonna Dude, say Max probably the Dude. biggest fighting game YouTuber currently. Like he's won the
Yeah.
Streamer Legacy Award recently,
Yeah,
so
that was
he's
awesome.
been popping off recently as well. But yeah, OG YouTubers are always
it's
a
been
banger.
insane, crazy wild ride. Speaking of Dan and Phil, don't cry, craft. The Blurb will be right back with other reviews on YouTuber movies.
From merch to books to tours to late night talk shows, YouTubers have done a lot, but like some original influencers, ways they made money have fallen to the wayside. One example is the now dead phenomenon of YouTuber movies. Let's talk about them.
I would like to start off by saying the Friend movies aren't good by any means.
I disagree. I used to love the Friend movies.
But they're so
Unironically,
nostalgic.
No, they're really
They're
funny.
good.
They're so funny. I love
Like-
all of them. They're
Okay,
really
they
stupid.
have some of their moments, but they're not exactly like.
They're not like the cream of the crop when it comes to.
Yeah, they're not the best movies I've ever
but also
watched,
it
but
was
they have their
Friend.
moments.
Right.
No, but John Cena was his dad. It's
It was really
funny.
good when he throws him
and
under
he,
the
like,
table.
throws him under the table. It's
You have
pretty
to
good.
you have to learn, son, and then proceeds
Yeah.
to deck
And
him.
it's funny because it's like a lot of these try and like do and use lore from the channels, but it doesn't work. So it's like for Fred 1, it's that the girl he's obsessed with is his neighbor, and then she moves, and he thinks she moved like 5 cities away, but she only moved like a block away.
Yeah.
And then he tries to get there, and then she's having a big party and doesn't like him, and then
hurts.
he has to go home and cry and make his own party. and
Which
no
is
one-
real, you know,
no
and
one's
he was the
invited.
realest for that.
Yeah.
But I have very vivid memories of it being like 3 or 4 a.m. when I was younger, and I would like the Fred movie was just on, and I was like, wow, this is cinema.
What about like the Halloween special where it's like he assumes like everyone around him is like a vampire, so like he has this like vision where like he's going around and like he quote unquote kills the vampires and like he gets the girl and then he's just outside like that like place and then he just starts spraying everybody.
Well,
You
my
remember that?
favorite thing, or one of my favorite things, is that everybody in the movie knows that Fred is crazy and annoying. So it's like, it's not like he's some like big guy who gets the girl. Like it's like
Right.
everyone in the movie knows, oh, that's Fred. He's the one who talks fast and is annoying.
Yeah.
And it's really good. It works well.
I just get memories of when like Fred just like, oh my god, it's Weezer, and then like he turns around and he shouts. You remember that?
Yeah.
That's not from the movie. All right, here's another one. Logan Paul airplane mode.
Whew.
Okay, that one I have not seen, but I can assume.
I remember watching.
I've seen parts of it.
I was gonna say I remember watching like those like dissection videos of it, where it's like this is just a bad movie.
So, from what I remember, it's like Airplane, the movie.
What's
but
that one about?
It's
An airplane?
It's like a farce. It's like a comedy, and it's all random. And it's famous. It's a famous comedy movie. And then Logan Paul, they're all influencers trying to get to what VidCon, but it's technically not VidCon. And it's like him, Lele Pons, King Bach, and they're all like in a plane, and then they have to start flying the plane.
Right, 'cause that was when like Vine was at its peak,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's
that
not
was
funny.
That's the thing is that a lot of these YouTuber movies, it's like it was a lot of like Viners that were doing it, you know, or like at least like there was a lot of Viners. Like King Bach has a ton of cameos, even in today. Like he was in I forget what show.
Babysitters 1 and 2.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember. That's. I was
Yes.
just gonna mention that.
Yes.
Because I just had thought about that, and I was like, well, Babysitter exists, and it's like, okay, like what's your opinion about Babysitter? Like just.
I watched it. It's not that. I mean, I don't know. It wasn't that good.
That was the horror movie Bella Thorne. Right?
Yeah, Bella Thorne, King Bach.
I remember watching the first one. I really liked it. It was
I like how we can cycle into King Bach being in the Babysitter just for that one.
Yeah, Airplane Mode, I feel like since the Paul brothers were Cleveland represent, Ohio represent.
Let's go.
Let's go, Low Gang. Always be plugging.
Ooh.
You did not just
Yeah.
say
But
that,
it's
Lila.
like
That
they
was-
were at their peak, and then they made this, and it's like all the commentary YouTubers were talking about it. So I think it's probably one of the most talked about, technically,
It's a
YouTuber
popular one.
movies.
And I don't see because I obviously didn't keep up with the Paul brothers, and I don't even really know when their peak was. I just knew about a lot of the controversies that were happening, and that was kind of when I started hearing about it. But because they made that like right again when like Vine was a big part, and I don't remember really them being kind of that epicenter part of the internet yet. But
I think they were big around 2016, because I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure 2016 was when Logan Paul went to Japan. So
Right.
it was at least
Yeah.
before 2016.
yep.
You also have to remember like when Jake Paul was in Team 10 as well.
yeah.
You remember that?
Right.
And then like they got big on the internet, and then they made that horrible YouTube
And now that
video.
guy works at Forage. One of the guys on Team 10 works at Forage in Lakewood, Ohio. My friends are
Such a,
coworkers.
That's
One
niche
of the
piece
guys
of
from
lore
Team 10.
to dump on the blurb tonight.
Next one is Smosh the movie.
That was terrible. Even by like my 6th grade standards, that was really like
that
not
movie
very
was
good.
awful. I
was
remember.
really
You guys
bad.
remember the plot? 'Cause
Yeah.
I was reading over
Yeah,
the
like they were
plot.
like went into YouTube or something like that. It
Yeah,
was really
just
weird.
like or do, I
Okay.
remember Markiplier being
It
in it,
was-
and that's all I remember.
So
yeah.
the plot, from what I'm pretty sure is the plot. It's they both work like dead end jobs, or no. Anthony does like pizza delivery, and then he's working a dead end job, and then they like. There's an embarrassing video of him at his high school graduation where he did a backflip, but then a microphone goes up his butt.
Such an
And then
alien thing to
they want
say.
to go back to their high school graduation, but they want to delete the original video because they like a girl, or Anthony likes a girl there. So
Right,
then they
yeah.
go into YouTube, and then it becomes a time travel movie where they're stuck in YouTube forever. And it's kind of a little bit like Space Jam 2, where they enter algorithm. I don't know if you guys have seen Space Jam 2.
That yes, that is an insane comparison to get from the Smosh movie.
But
Call it-
then they go
call
into
it Space
YouTube, and then
Jam
there's a
2.
bunch.
Called Space Smosh.
And then they have to like delete the video, and then it turns out they go back, and then they get really famous, and then they go forward in time, and they like are super rich,
Right.
and then they're at the high school
I
reunion.
remember that. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah,
And it's just a bunch of YouTube cameos, and it's like it was old references by that point.
it was such a unique movie. But
Fun fact: it was all filmed in the YouTube studio,
Wow.
like the original YouTube studio.
That's
That's actually kind of cool.
that's insane.
Actually kind of cool.
I just
What?
that's fun. That's funny.
that's
Yeah.
Rest in peace,
Smosh
Smosh
also
movie.
made Ghostmates.
I didn't realize that they
Ghostmates, that
about
YouTube Red original, but it is
okay,
what it
yeah.
is.
Okay.
Yeah.
That concludes our discussion on these cinematic pieces of cinematic history. Now let's spice things up a little. Call me a mentat, because I think I know what's coming up next. From books to the big screen, people have been obsessed with the House of Harkonnen and Muad'Dib himself since the 60s. Let's hear some spoiler-free thoughts on the newest adaptation, Dune Part 2.
Spice controls everything. So it's a good thing the blurb has plenty of it. Welcome back. Today we'll be giving a spoiler-free review of Dune Part 2.
Wow.
Just an overall blanket. How did we feel about the movie?
I was blown away.
Absolutely the best theater experience I have ever had. I mean, just fantastic. Anyway, go ahead.
I really liked the movie. I watched both of them. I watched the first one on Sunday with my brother, and then I watched the second one on Monday with my brother because I made him go see it with me because no one else could, and that's what you have brothers for. And I, as somebody who's a big Dune fan, but I've read the books, and I've watched like the 80s version. I feel like this series of movies did a really good job of capturing the books and like the universe that the books create while making it like its own standalone film.
Yeah.
Because the ending of Dune 2, which I'm not going to talk about too much, is a lot different than the ending of the first Dune book, because there's actually 6 Dune books. But I felt like it really set it up to be more of like a movie experience than just like an average, like, you know, we have this huge book, we have a lot more that we can cover in a book than we do in a movie.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, what you said, truly. I really liked it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I wish I had seen the first part again before I went going to see the second one, just because there were some parts where I was like, had to like kind of refresh and like be like, okay, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did really enjoy it.
Yeah, we watched it like a couple days before it came out, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to talk about how Austin Butler absolutely stole the show.
Honestly, I think genuinely my favorite performance in that entire movie.
Me too.
I mean,
it was such a good encapsulation of the character in the book. I felt like the Harkonnens were really well portrayed in the movie, because the characters in the book just have like such a like a viciousness to them, like just a cold, dark, vicious personality that I feel like it would have been hard to capture, but I feel like every one of the people that was playing the Harkonnens did such a good job showing that.
Yeah.
What really kind of like, I didn't realize it was black and white for a good like while. I was just like, yeah, this is just like
You're
how
just
they
so into it.
No,
No, it took me
I
a
was like,
second
this
too.
is just how the set was, and it was like, and a big part was that like the whole scene with that like the character and like introducing him is that with a lot of movies it's really easy for it to just kind of be its own thing and kind of like take away from how you're feeling in the movie. But they kind of flow into that scene so well, and just like it really just keeps you with that momentum going, which I
That
really
scene
liked.
was amazing to like watch. There is a bit of background that like in the book of why it's black and white. I don't know if that's too spoilery for me to talk about.
I know it is like the moon, isn't it? That's
so,
what I knew. But.
The planet that the Harkonnens live on is very industrial and it's very polluted. So I believe that the reason that it's in black and white and the reason that everything's in black and white there is because like it is so polluted that it's blocking out the sun.
The color, yeah.
Yeah, the blocking out the color and it's blocking out the sun. And it's also probably supposed to be like a representation of like the like cold, dark, evil Harkonnens opposed to the bright, vibrant desert, which is full of life, and it kind of gives a really good juxtaposition of the Harkonnen and the Atreides in the front end.
Absolutely.
And even like, and it's just like, even in its slower parts, it really kind of keeps you going with it, especially with how long of a movie it is. It's very easy for you to kind of get sidetracked in your own mind, and it's just they find a way to keep it going even when it's in that mellow.
Well, that's what I found was one of my favorite differences from the first part, was that I felt in the first part I definitely get bored sometimes because it's a lot of exposition. It's a lot of leading up because obviously part 2 is like
the second half of the book where all the stuff's happening.
Everything happens, yeah. So it's like I didn't even, by the time it was over, I'm like, that was almost 3 hours long. What?
Yeah.
Like I need more. So I still like the first part. Like I love it.
Me too.
But it's just like I felt like Dune Part 2 just kind of blows it out of the water with how well it keeps you in it. And just can we just talk about like how gorgeous it is too? Like it's so pretty.
Yeah,
I can't remember
they did filming in Norway.
As
for
they do.
Caladan,
Okay.
which is in the first. Yeah, it was in Norway, I believe.
Beautiful.
I searched it because me and my brother are. We watch movies in an annoying way, where the whole time we're like, "Where did they film that?"
Yeah.
How did they
No, I
do
mean,
that?
absolutely.
I see any actor, I pull up my phone, I'm like, who is
Yeah,
this?
when I saw Austin Butcher come out, I was like, "That's the guy from The Thing," and he was like, "The guy from what thing?" I was like, "It's the guy from The Thing," and then we were trying to figure out who he was. Because I've never seen him without hair.
Yeah.
No, yeah, right. For the first scene,
He
I was
goes
like,
from-
is that Elvis Presley?
He goes from Elvis to
Elvis Presley.
I think Sam mentioned it, but I think he did like an Elvis kind of like twang.
There was a couple parts where I could tell, because I don't know if you guys read this, but he had to go to like a voice coach for over a year after Elvis just to break the accent because he doesn't actually talk like that. So, and there were some parts in the movie that it kind of came out a little bit, and I was like, oop. I was like, Elvis is in the building.
Elvis is
in
the
the
building.
house.
Yeah.
Elvis is.
I didn't hear like his Elvis. It was probably just me, but I didn't hear his Elvis voice the entire time. I just heard like his character.
No, not the entire time. There was a couple lines that I felt like kind of slipped out in.
Yeah, no, I mean, like when he sang the entirety of Blue Christmas, I mean, that was
that was crazy.
that was wild. I wasn't ready for him to just
It
kind
was
of pull
such
it
a
out.
break from like the movie.
Sorry for spoilers.
Yeah, totally. But
Yeah. I'm not going to get into it, but there was a scene towards the end with Fade Ralpha, who is you know, who we were just talking about, and then Paul, who's Timothy Chalamet. Scene towards the end, I think we know what I'm talking about. The choreography for it was amazing. And there was parts during that scene that I genuinely, like, I think that my jaw, like, didn't close for like 10 minutes.
I was never huge into in-movie fighting. Like it was never something that was like appealing to me where it's like, oh wow, this is awe-inspiring. Like I was struck by it. But watching that scene happen and just how like flowing it was amazing. I mean, I was mesmerized.
Can we also talk about Zendaya for a minute?
We can always talk about Zendaya for as long as you want.
Okay, because I think that honestly, this movie was the best of a lot of people's career. Timothy Chalamet included, definitely Austin Butler, and I think Zendaya was incredible in this. It was in the scene that we were just talking about. I don't want to talk about it because it's like definitely a spoiler if you haven't read the book.
Or watched the movie.
Yeah. She makes an expression on her face that is just so like heart throbbing that it just like it just made me almost cry. I'm like, she's so good in it.
I really like the way that they did Chani's character in this movie because it's very different than how it is in the book. And I am like diehard like Dune book person because I'm annoying. I'll be honest. That's my Dune book on the table. My personal one. And but I feel like the way, because in the book, Chani's kind of like a flat character. She's just kind of like woman love interest character.
Yeah.
She has a personality beyond that, but her main purpose is like woman love interest.
To kind of just be there for Paul.
She's kind of there for Paul. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
But in this, they really give her like her own personality and her own drives and motives. And it was so nice to see because I was worried that like they were gonna have like this really high-ranking actress just be like woman standing on screen in costume.
She's too talented because like because I'm assuming a lot of us have seen her in Euphoria. Like she's great in Euphoria. It's like you can't cast her and just make her there to just be there.
I was worried about how star-studded this cast was because I'm a big proponent of like let's just get some random people in here and see what they can do. But I did think that everybody who acted in it did a very good job of portraying like all of these very obscure characters with like very like their own quirks and things very well.
Yeah, like very like characters that really didn't have a lot of screen time. I felt like they were all very good at portraying, especially Gurney was great too. Josh Brolin as Gurney.
Such a good in the second half of the movie. That was such a good portrayal. It like really knocked me off my feet. I knew it was going to happen because I've read the books, but I was like, oh my god, this is so good.
Yeah.
And even like watching, obviously Peter is like the main character of it, but like
Paul.
Sorry, Paul.
That's Peter.
Peter, Paul, and John. Yes.
Of course.
Yes. Oh yes.
Paul is the main character, but I just watching it, I feel like everyone's on that same field of like we are all like adding on something, and there's no like this is your character and this is your character. It's like everything is very on the same page.
Yeah.
And
you go.
No, you sure?
A lot,
Okay. So have I, but I do feel like, especially with people who read the books and they know the movie leaves Paul's character up for so much more growth.
Yeah.
And also just like development, and it doesn't just like kind of end and it's like, oh, what else can they do with him? I don't know. It's like you want to know like what's he gonna do next?
Right.
Because I mean, it's just I really like the way that Timothy Chalamet portrayed him too. Like,
Same here.
especially all that like anger that he has towards the end.
Yes.
Like
The
it's
anger is really good.
Mhm.
Something that I'm really interested to see. I don't know if they're going to do a third movie.
I think they are.
They have to.
They announced they are.
Well, that's the thing with the way that it ended. But I'm really interested to see where they go because the rest of the Dune books are really weird.
They're weird, yeah.
They're really weird, and I don't think that would portray well for like a blockbuster movie. So I'm just really interested to see what they do.
Absolutely, and it's overall. I mean, I think we can all agree this is a phenomenal
amazing
movie.
movie. Go see
Incredible, yeah.
Go see it.
Yeah, absolutely go see
Please
it.
go see it.
But watch the first one first. 'Cause
Do
it's
that.
tough.
Yeah, you will be
You
lost.
won't get it.